Welcome to our first episode of Inside the TMC Family. Today I have with me, and I'm so excited, I have President and CEO of Waterstone Mortgage joining me to share a little bit about himself and Waterstone. So thanks, Jeff, for stepping up and being our first lender member to be interviewed. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Faith. And I hope this goes without saying that you might be the only one in the industry that could get me to do something like this.
Because this is our first episode of Inside the TMC Family, I'm just going to share really quickly about why we decided to do this, so everybody kind of has a preview of what is to come. We have decided that we are missing people and introducing our lender members to each other in person because we haven't been able to do that over the last year. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 quick questions that will be the same consistent questions for you and whoever follows you. And then a kicker random question at the end that you don't know about yet. So surprise. Think a little bit like inside the actor's studio. And so that's what we will be doing. So with that said, first question, what was your first job ever?
My first real job. So from when I was like 12, 13 years old, I had a paper route, and I had kind of a side hustle of doing cutting lawns. So it was actually a cool business that the people that I delivered papers for in the morning, then I'd turn back around and do their lawns in the evening and afternoon. So, but my first real job, like where someone actually paid me and I was on payroll, was at a place called Gene's Auto Body. It was a vehicle repair place, and it, I have a passion around cars, and so I got to start there when I was like 16, got my license, got hired by Gene's. And I remember, the thing I remember the most about it is Gene was a really tough guy. And my very first day, I think it was probably inside of my first half day there, I compounded through a fresh paint job on the hood of a truck, like literally compounded down to the he and the whole truck had to be repainted, and that was a pretty rough start. And he reminded me of that almost every day for the 3 years I worked there. So.
We met pretty early on, I think, in your career. I know that you were a young guy when we first met, and I was your processor, which I find very, very hard to believe. But I'm pretty sure I don't know the answer to this next question. How did you get into this industry? And how long have you been working in the industry?
Well, you're right. That was pretty early in my career when we worked together. And yeah,
92.
And that whole you're being my processor thing is probably along the many things I owe you. And I tell people what a different person I was back then in terms of intensity level. Something
about rerouting a phone line.
Yeah. And I tell this story about before you. What you don't know is before you, I think I had gone through 6 or so processors in a year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we didn't tell you that. But I started in the business 32 years ago. And so it wasn't, I think we worked together about 30 years ago. My start, to this day, it's always like, somebody's got to give you a break. And a gentleman who is still in the business, he's still doing it. His name is Greg Farnham. He's now at US Bank. But yeah. Greg is branch manager at Norwest Mortgage. I told him I wanted to be a loan officer, and he made me a loan officer assistant for a period of time. It was kind of my baptism there. And then I ended up being a loan officer. And, the fact that, Greg was able to live through that in my early days and he's still in the business is amazing to me. But I think about that a lot, that, we all take chances on people, and sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. So,
Very, very true. Well, I would agree with being a different person now than, although you don't look that different. I look completely different. So that's not quite fair. On to question 3. What is the one thing that you wish you would have known when you first started?
I wish I had an awareness of what I would take the real value at. So we just talked, I'm 32 years into this. And when I think back on where I've been, who I've had the opportunity to work with, I don't think about numbers and accomplishments. I hone in on people and relationships, and and people who have impacted my career, and people who hopefully I've impacted their career, and that whole kind of cycle thing. And I just think about this industry now, and it's just it's a series of relationships with really cool and awesome people. And I absolutely did not have that perspective early in my career. And I wish someone had told me that that was a thing.
I would agree. One of the things I always say is it always comes back to the people. Question number 4. If you weren't in mortgage banking, what other profession would you pursue?
Is that based on like skill set, like a dream thing, or that I'd actually could do? Because right now I'd be on the PGA Tour, maybe the senior. Actually, it would be the senior tour, the Champions Tour. I think I'm getting to do some of that now. So my wife and I were able to open a business together last year, and it's centered around mental health and coaching. And so that's just kind of a passion line we both share, and we've had views on how that business has been handled over the years, good, bad, and indifferent. And we've been able to put a model together and kind of run this business together. And that to me is pretty rewarding. And then, somewhere along the line, if I could ever figure out a way to make money off of automobiles and restoring old cars and actually not losing money every time I do that, I would love to be able to do that. But I don't think you stay in business very long when you lose money every time you do it.
Well, I think it's interesting that you would go back to that, even though your first job experience started in the way it did.
Crime. Yeah.
That's true passion that you have there. So a number of members of our team know you and have worked with you at another place in the past. So they threw out some questions that they thought that I should ask you as the random question. One was about something about hair products. I can't remember what the other one was, but I chose something different that I knew you probably wouldn't mind answering. If you had one album that you could play forever, what would it be?
Oh, man. I think for me, it would be Bruce Springsteen's The Rising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. It has been a delight getting caught up with you this morning. Know that we're here to help you however we can. We really appreciate the fact that you would do this for us and have people get to know you and Waterstone a little bit more. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thank you, Faith. I'm honored to be your first, and thank you and everyone at TMC for looking out for us. I know, I know how important and where the view is in terms of getting up every day and adding value for your members. And I know that passion, I know where that comes from, and I know how meaningful it is. So we appreciate what you and your team do for us, and thanks for having me on.